Microphone check 2 1 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bobby. They still sleeping on me, and I'm still just getting warmed up. Second podcast where we are recording from the Venice HQ, and I'm fired up. I got my first true guest of 2021 coming in this Wednesday and a couple more in the next coming weeks, and I'm pumped. So excited for this new spot, and it's just been a great reset. Still, trying to get the lay of the land, trying to learn my streets, trying to learn where all the hot spots are in Venice, but slowly but surely 2021, the Bearded Man might be the most unofficial mayor of the city. Just hold me to it. I'm going to be running this town by the by the end of this year. We'll see. But episode 57, we're here. We're 3 steps closer to 60. Can't wait. Brick by brick, episode by episode. That's how we've been growing this project from the ground up, baby. Let's go. Housekeeping, and then we'll get into today's podcast. Saturday, I hit Runyon Canyon in LA for the first time, which is actually crazy for me to say. I've been in LA for 3 years now. Runyon is arguably the most influencer hike of LA, right in the center of West Hollywood. You climb up the mountain, you get to see the Hollywood sign, you see downtown LA, absolute gorgeous hike. And honestly, it's just up a cement road. So, I mean, listen, I'm a very basic level hiker. So if I can do it, so can you. Anyway, cross that off the bucket list. Had never done it before. And it was just an incredible, incredible view. Great hike with my man, Zach Hanavar. He will absolutely not hear this, but I'm going to give him a shout out anyway. But that was incredible. Saturday carried on, went to the beach, just embraced the whole beach lifestyle. Your boy was wearing flip-flops in January. And if you follow me on IG, I posted a story leaving the beach, and I said, I called out all my fellow East Coasters. Why I did that, I don't know, but I was just feeling some type of way, sober as hell, leaving the beach, all vibed up, and I posted a story saying, flip-flops in January, sign me up. I love it. 70 degrees. I was getting toasted because I got the Irish and Polish skin, so that's great. Another cool thing, Saturday night, tried Japanese ramen for the first time. Yup, that's right. We did Thai last weekend. We did Japanese ramen this weekend. We're going to keep pushing the envelope, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Don't know what's on the next menu, but we're going to keep trying new things. And I would give it a 10 out of 10 on the Bearded Man review. There's no question about it. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. I've been very open-minded. I think I'm a very open-minded individual, especially the last couple of years. But I think specifically, I've always been skeptical with food just because it's like, you're spending money, you're hungry. I'm a little cranky when I'm hungry. So I always buy the foods that I know are going to satisfy me, are going to make me a happy bearded man, because you don't want to be around a bearded man that's not happy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so I've been trying to push the envelope and keep an open mind to new foods, and it's worked out 2 for 2 on the year. We're going to keep going. So any new recipes and updates that I try, I'll be sure to let you guys gals know, because I know you're probably so anxious to hear, Bobby, what you eating, what you trying. I will let you know as it happens, so don't you worry. So that was Saturday. We had a great, great day. Sunday, turned my bedroom into a jungle. That's right. Been getting plants left and right. Spent an unhealthy amount of money on plants. I don't even want to say it. My mother would smack me beside the head if she knew. But it's okay. I can rationalize it. Plants make you happy. Happy equals life. It's well worth the money. I can rationalize it. So the Bedrudio 3.0, which is the bedroom studio where I'm cooking up, got plenty of space for activities. It's turned into a nice little jungle, but I'm actually really happy with how it's coming out, especially with Wednesday. I have the first podcast guest. I mean, this pod will come out on Thursday, so the day before, I have my first guest coming in, and got to make sure the vibe's right, as all the podcasts that we have been rolling out this year so far were all previously recorded at the end of 2020 because I planned it. That's what I like to call having a master plan, the master bearded man plan, that is. Today, exciting episode dropped. This is one of those pre-podcasts that I had recorded before the new year. And this was episode 56 with my man, Dalton Meisner, incredible creator, storyteller from the Midwest. Long story short, Dalton had slid through my DM in January of 2019. He came out and created a piece with me. He was an old podcast listener of mine, and we stayed connected. He lives with me for a month in 2019, and 2 months later, he made the leap and moved to LA and has been here ever since. And I always knew this podcast was going to happen at some point. Even when I got It's the Bearded Man started up and rolling, he was one of the first people I had hit up like, yo, bro, got to get you on the podcast. But at the time, he was kind of going through some dark times and mental clarity. He wasn't in the right headspace. He was going through some stuff. And I said, no worries, let's just push it. Let's push it. And you want to talk about timing? I don't think this podcast could have been better timing for us to record it. It was right at the end of November. He's coming out of a dark tunnel where you learned a lot about himself due to COVID and due to him having to make adjustments due to his career, being as a content creator with everything that was happening. And then a month after we recorded the podcast, he shoots Justin Bieber on New Year's Eve. So it's a great example that even through the darkest and toughest of times, which is it's all relative to what you've been through in your own life. I can only speak from my own experiences, right? It always works itself out in the end, but when you're in it, it feels horrible and you just feel like, is this ever going to end? And it's stories like Dalton that make me love and enjoy what I do because it's able to give people an example of what other people go through to get to where they are today. So really excited with how Dalton's episode came out. I think it was incredibly authentic and real and just very vulnerable. And he's just a great guy. So if you get a chance, check out episode 56 with Dalton Meisner. Incredible. Also, let me give a quick shout out. I don't think you guys and gals are going to be able to hear it because these mics are so damn good, but you might hear some music in the background. And we already broke in this freaking house and friends of ours shot a music video on a rooftop, and I'm excited to see what it comes out with. As it was like the sunset, it looked incredible. But we're already doing location shoots here at the crib. Can't say content crib. Got to think of a new name. That's one thing I had to leave behind with this new chapter. The content crib only exists with Dylan and Steve and I. If we're not together, got to move on to a new chapter. So got a couple ideas with the boys here, trying to get dialed in on what we're gonna call this place, but I'm hopeful that by the top of February, I'll be coming in hot with these podcasts saying, coming to you live from blank, blank, blank. If I had it my way, I'd call this house the Bearded Man headquarters. Matter of fact, even if these guys don't like that idea, I'm going to call it the Bearded Man headquarters on the low. So we'll see how it goes. But everything's going well on the Bearded Man front. Constant work in progress. Constant just going, pushing, trying to get better. And I got no complaints. Pod review of the week goes to my gal, Shannon Edelstein. I hope I pronounced that right because as you guys and gals know, I cannot pronounce names to save my life. What I love about this podcast review before I actually read it, Shannon, I know of her because she has showed love on my Instagram. I love that we are attracting more women to this podcast. That is a goal of mine to balance the show out. And I'm glad to see that I'm sprinkling this bearded wisdom on women. I want to be equally balanced. I want this to be a 50-50 show. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to just keep all the boys around. You don't have to have a beard to listen to this podcast. No. I made that clear in the bio of the podcast. You do not need a beard. All are welcome. I don't think Shannon has a beard. So Shannon, thank you for listening. Let's read her review. She said, title, great podcast, exclamation. Very important. 2 exclamation points. Got to give that a call immediately. She gave it a 5 out of 5 stars reviews. Let's go. She said, love this podcast. Been listening forever now. Exclamation point. Thanks for answering my question in the 27 lessons episode. Keep pushing and getting better every day. Exclamation point. Shannon, you are a rock star for listening and for submitting questions and for just being you and taking the time to leave that review. It gets me fired up. And it's people like you that add more fuel to the fire. It just makes me want to keep doing this. As long as I get somebody to listen to this podcast. It doesn't have to be 1 million, although I would love 1 million. It doesn't have to be 1 billion. That'd be pretty dope. But hey, as long as somebody's listening and cares what the Bearded Man has to say, great. And even if nobody listens, I'm still going to keep producing this content because I am the most slept on podcaster in the world. Not officially, but officially, definitely true. Before we get into today's podcast, as a friendly reminder, I know you guys and gals hate when I talk about this, but I got to do it. I'm sorry. Call to action. If at any moment during this podcast you enjoy it, if I make you laugh, smile, cry, giggle, make you scratch your head thinking, why am I listening to this guy in the first place? If any emotion, if I pique any little bit of emotion out of you, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Babe, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y, and let your friends and family know that they got to check out this podcast. Let them know what you're enjoying and why they should check it out. Helps build this podcast organically, and honestly, it really, really helps. So please do that if you enjoy this podcast at all. I would appreciate it. Before we get into the topic, let's have a quick little water break because we're about to hit the ground running, if you know what I'm saying. You'll see what I'm saying. Yep. Just as I imagined it, cold, delicious, refreshing. High quality H2O. Gotta love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. We're going on a ride. Excuse me, I burped. You're on to the Bearded Man spaceship. Next destination, high quality content. Planet, high quality content. Let's go. Today's topic, run at your own pace. Let me say that one more time. Run at your own pace. Third time's a charm. Run at your own pace. This topic is honestly inspired by a convo that I had with my sister during the holidays when I was back on the East Coast in Massachusetts. Represent ya. But funny enough, she's actually a guest for next week's podcast, which I'm so hyped about, and I hope you guys and gals are. But this is a great topic, and I thought it was a good timing to hit it, especially with her coming on the show next week. So it's something that I think I have dealt with in my own past, and I think plenty of people out there do. So I thought, why not dive into it? We oftentimes fall for the comparison trap. We look around at our peers and we compare the career position they're in, the car they drive, the college they went to, the apartment or house they own. I sure as hell don't own a house, but I sure as hell do wish that I did. Or the clothes that they wear, or even worse, what they post on social media. We've all been down that rabbit hole. We're scrolling, and we're just digging deeper into our soul as we scroll, and we feel like poop emoji. Yes, that's right. We feel like shit. Nobody likes to feel like shit. No, not happening. But today, that game ends. Whether you guys and gals realize it or not, I'm here to sprinkle this bearded wisdom into your eardrums and get you to think differently. Not fall for the comparison trap. Not look around and be jealous of where your friends or strangers are at in your life. We're here to fall in love with our own journey because we're running at our own pace. We've all heard this quote before. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We've heard it. Am I right? Am I right? This is a marathon that only you can participate in, which means that only you can win. Now, it sounds like a great race to be in. You're the only one in the race. You're the only one that can win. That is the motto and the mindset that we need to carry with us every single day. We are the winner already. We just need to cross the damn finish line. And all you have to do is keep going and never stop. And you will win the gold. All you have to do is run at your own pace. You're never allowed to stop. You can crawl. You can walk on your tiptoes. You can full on sprint. You can walk. You can lightly jog. You can mediumly jog. You can extra fast jog, which I guess you could say is running or sprinting. That doesn't make sense, but you catch my drift. As long as you keep moving forward, you will win the race. This is a race against you. It is you versus you. So how to stay focused on our pace and not others? This is the key. How do we stay focused on running our own race while there's other people around us running their own race? Okay, I get it. Like I said, been there, done that, compared myself. But now I feel very fortunate. I'm getting better and better. Still got a lot more room to work on. I'm falling in love with my own race because it's the only race that I can run. Step number 1, the warm-up. You all know, and if you follow me on IG, you're probably sick of it. You're probably unfollowing me. You're like, get this shit off my timeline, off my IG story feed. I don't need to see it. I get it, Bearded Man. I live by this philosophy. You win the morning, you win the day. I'm not here to tell you that you all need to be out running morning miles to start your day. That just happens to be one of the few things that I do to jumpstart my morning, and it looks great for the IG content. I try to document my day-to-day life, and that's why I do. I share it. I try to change up the scenery, show some palm trees, maybe a little beach action, a little sunrise. Sometimes I'm doing a little pull-up bar in my bathroom. People are like, yo, this guy is cooked. It's all good. I'm trying to document my life and show you guys and gals what I'm doing behind the scenes. But what I'm here to tell you is that we all need to jumpstart our day, our mindset, before we can even tackle work. Now, let me also say this. It's not about what time you wake up, just about what does that first couple hours of your day look like? Whether you're working out, reading a book, listening to a podcast, journaling, meditating, it's totally up to you. I ask and I challenge you, though, is to do something that's focused on you. It's not benefiting anybody else except you. That's the key. So what's the point of the warm-up? Why do we warm up for running our race, right? We want to head into our day with our mind and bodies crystal sharp, dialed in. This dialed in is going to be, you're going to be hearing a lot more. I haven't really ever said it too much, and it kind of just picked up on the last week or so. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm dialed in, and I want you guys and gals to be dialed in going into your day. If we can't do that, if we can't dial in our mind and bodies before we get into the day, we're vulnerable. We can have the carpet ripped out from underneath us, and we're going to slip and fall. I mean, that would happen regardless, right? But you see what I'm trying to say. But if we do put time and energy into the warm-up before running our race, aka jump-starting our day, we're ultimately unstoppable. We need to get the blood flowing. We need to fire up our body on all cylinders firsthand. That energy will help lead us into the day and carry us throughout it. Like I said, for you, it could be many things. It could be reading, working out. It doesn't matter. My challenge is, though, is that it needs to be about you. I hate to say it. Truthfully, I don't know how anybody can wake up and be on their email within 5 minutes. That sounds miserable. And there's once in a while occasions you got to put out a fire. I get it. But if you can create that space so that the first, let's put out a challenge, 60 minutes of your day, you're not doing anything work-related, you're not answering texts, you're not checking social media, you are solely focused on you, you're going to get that blood pumping. And if we can get that blood pumping leading into the day, aka our race, we'll be ready for whatever challenges get thrown at us. So number one, the warm-up. Focus on the warm-up before you even think about starting the race. And this is a race against you. Number two, study the route. Regardless of what your goals, your interests are, I think it is crucial that we learn from others who have walked a similar path. Now, we all hear big pros and cons about social media in the world and where it's going. I get it. But one major pro, and you wouldn't be hearing my voice if it wasn't for this pro, because I wouldn't have been able to learn and I wouldn't have been able to produce what I'm doing now from literally my bedroom, is that we all have access to free education at our fingertips. Let me spell that out for you. Free. My favorite 4-letter word that begins with an F, aside from the other one, which I won't say. We have access to free education at our fingertips. Read books that are focused on your industry. If you can't have access to social media or you don't want to go down the social media route, listen to podcasts of people who are leaders in the space, and never be afraid to ask questions to those who have the answer. The key of running our own pace is that we slowly start to become the master of our route, right? And yes, we still may just be crossing that starting line, but when we study the route and we take the time to learn from other people who have walked a similar route, and we learn from their experiences and their advice and their do's and their don'ts, we have all this information in our mind that we can then pull from moving forward. And that information can help us decide whether to do something or whether to not. If you're going in blind to something and you have no idea how the situation is going to play out, it would be very helpful if you had some past experience or advice indirect advice from listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, reading books on people that are in the industries or doing the things that you really want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. The best way to learn is from personal experience. But who says we can't pull from others who have been through it before? That's the cheat code. Everything that I talk about, everything that I do, every decision I make, it is not 100% a bearded man decision. Like, yes, I am the one making the decision, but it's ultimately thousands of other pieces of information that are processing through this crazy brain of ours at a blink of an eye, snap of a fingers, that's then allowing me to make a decision. And maybe I'm pulling from like what Gary Vee might have said or what this person might have told me. I'm pulling from other experiences. And to go off of that, if I'm being completely honest, my podcast game is the product of many inspirations. It's taken me time to find my voice and to find like, what is the Bearded Man podcast? When you click in, like, what should people expect? High energy, crazy bearded man, thinks he's hot shit, but he's super humble, authentic, extremely vulnerable. It's a mixed bag of emotions. You know what you sign up for when you come onto these podcasts. But in all honesty, I am a product of Joe Rogan. I'm a product of Jay Shetty. I'm a product of Lewis Howes, of Gary Vee. I'm not comparing myself to these guys, which I sure wish to see my name alongside them at some point. It's going to happen. Mark my word, baby. Hold me to it. But I'm a product from them. I've listened to their podcast, Joe Rogan, long format. Love that. Incorporate into mine. Jay Shetty, everything about Jay Shetty. His mindfulness, his presence, his energy, pulled that from him. Lewis Howes, great person at interviewing and questioning. Gary Vee, bring big energy, and pretty much just blazes the path and creates his own lane. I've pulled from all these people. I've studied their podcast routes, and I've been inspired and made changes to mine because of them, right? So it's like, this is original. This is the Bearded Man podcast, but I've pulled from them. So we're all inspired from something or someone, and whether we realize it or not, it helps mold us into who we are and the way we think. Study as much of your route as possible, but remember, you are still blazing your own path. This is your race. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter your interests. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch interviews, go on Google and look up different information. Everything that you need is out there. Start studying the route. Even though you're in the day-to-day grind of creating your blueprint, creating that dream life that you can't wait to get to, study the route of other people that have done it before you. And even if it's in different years, this was 10 years ago or 20 years ago from whoever this person is, you can still pull something from it. There's going to be one piece of advice that's going to help you. Number 3, one foot in front of the other. Whew. Is this a good one? Back on episode 45, I told the story about why I got 1% tattooed on my right hand, and I still absolutely love it. I see it every day. I'm looking at it right now, and it looks fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you're committed to it. But the people who truly succeed are those that focus on those little day-to-day tasks that stack up over time. They're tackling everything on their list, one foot in front of the other. We see people like Elon Musk with SpaceX, Tesla. We see people like Jeff Bezos with Amazon. Massive, massive, massive companies worth billions and billions of dollars. Unintentionally, I just said both those names, and both of them are the top 2 most richest people in the world. How they got to where they are is literally a long years of them consistently putting one foot in front of the other. We're seeing them at chapter 15, at chapter 18 of their careers. But at chapter 1, they were very similar to us, more than likely. I don't actually know their backstories, but I would imagine they had similar. They went to high school, maybe they went to college, they didn't know what they were doing. They tried, they took a couple L's, they fell on their face, made some mistakes, but ultimately they continued to make progress, step by step, one foot in front of the other, day by day. So what I do is, and I would recommend for any of those out there, is keep a running to-do list with a pen and paper or even on your notes app. I use a notes app and it works fantastic. And cross off items as you conquer them in a day, in the week, and you'll be amazed with how much progress you've made over the course of time. When you're in it, in the day-to-day grind, the 24 hours at a time, it doesn't feel glamorous. You're doing tasks that it's like, oh, this is moving the needle a little bit, but it's not those big moments that we all can't wait for, right? But when you look at it from a bird's eye view, from above, it's actually a lot of progress. You look at that one day, you look at it alongside the past 3 days, the past week, the past 6 months, and all of a sudden you go from like, wow, I only got 3 things done today, to wow, I got 8 pieces of tasks done in the last 3 days. And then you zoom out even more and you're like, wow, I did 36 tasks this month. That's incredible. And then times that by year. And so then it starts to stack up. So anytime you're overwhelmed, you feel anxious about where you're headed. Actually, let me stop right there. I'm getting a little too trigger happy and getting too excited to keep it moving. But I think the to-do list is really important because you're constantly adding to it and taking away from it. And as you cross things off, it's almost like patting yourself on the back. You're recognizing that you completed something. And it feels good. And having a to-do list allows you that any moment in time you think of something, I just jot it down. I jot it down because there's so many times when we go, I won't forget it. I'll do it as soon as I get home. And you get home and you totally forget. And you're like, shit, what? How did I forget? This is your list. This is your haven. This is where everything is. You don't have to necessarily do it from top to bottom. You just constantly keep reprioritizing what needs to get done today, what needs to get done tomorrow, what's maybe later next week. You keep prioritizing. But as long as you have that running to-do list, you always have a list of things that you can be doing. So you never get caught up and anxious like, what should I do now? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. But when that happens and you feel overwhelmed and you feel anxious about where you're headed because you just, you have so much to do and there's not enough time in the day, stop and look behind you. I mean, you can actually turn around and look behind you, but think about it. Look behind you and think about all the progress that you've made in the past week, in the past 6 months, or even a year. Think about all that progress and how great it feels to know that you did all that work to get you to where you are today. And yes, there's so much more you got to do to get to that next chapter that you want to be at, but you're going to get there. You're eventually going to get there. Here's the thing. Time is going to continue to roll whether we like it or not. The key is we either make use of the 24 hours ahead of us and we look for a couple daily wins, a couple tasks that we can cross off, and we focus on it, or what can happen, we get anxious, we get caught up, which just makes us not inspired, which doesn't help us make progress, and then we're wasting time and we're letting valuable, precious time that could be used getting shit done, and it slips through our fingertips. And that could go on for a day, 2 days, a week, and all of a sudden, time adds up. So as a runner, going back to this whole metaphor of we're running at our own pace, and I'm sorry for those out there that dread running. You're probably like, I'm so over this pod already. But hey, if you're still with me, I love you. So thank you. As a runner, I love glancing up and looking around from time to time, especially being in this new area that I'm living in. There's just so much going on. I don't know. And I'm just like a little kid in a candy store every morning when I'm running. I'm looking at the palm trees, the sun, the storefronts, the ocean. It's just like, this is unbelievable. I'm just trying to appreciate it. But at the same time, when I run, 99% of my runs, I'm looking straight down. I'm actually looking just 1 to 2 feet in front of me because I want to see what's in front of me. Is there anything I got to jump over? Any bodies I got to hop over? I mean, literally like scooters on the ground, bikes on the ground. You never know in Venice. I'll tell you that right now. And so I take those moments to appreciate and look around as I'm running through the streets. But at the same time, majority of my time, I'm looking down. I'm focusing on those 1 to 2 steps in front of me. And I think that's a metaphor that can carry across life. Once in a while, look up, appreciate where you're at, appreciate where you're going, but very quickly, what is in front of you right now? We need to do that with our lives, 1 foot in front of the other, each and every step. Woo, baby. Let's have a quick H2O water break. Can't speak. I can't speak. I cannot ever speak clearly. Maybe if I did these like in the middle of the day, which I don't have the time to do it, but if I did it, I think these would be a little bit better, but who knows? No excuses. Got to keep cooking up. Can't stop, won't stop, bearded man. Let's get it. Chill. All right, number 4. Fourth and final piece. Really important, running your own pace. Rest when needed. Put down the phone, shut the laptop, step away from work when you feel you need it the most, okay? Everyone is different. So I'm not here to tell you how many hours of the day to work is acceptable. You have to kind of figure that out for yourself. You also have to gauge where you're at in your life. You know, when I was head down driving Uber, trying to build my podcast career with my old show, Purpose in the Youth, I was putting in extremely long days. I wasn't having any balance in my life, and I did it for a solid 3 years of living in LA, and that's all I had in me. And I'm so thankful I got out of that chapter, but I did what I needed to do. And so, like I said, I've had those wild 16-hour days where I needed every second, but I've also had those where I literally did not work an hour, 0 hours, and I just wasn't feeling it or I didn't do anything. And I think the key is, once again, don't fall for the comparison trap and like, oh, your buddy's putting in the work today, so you got to do it. I've had that happen to me where I go, shit, they're working, I should be grinding too. No, let's dial it back. Listen, because this is your own race and you're running at your own pace. Listen to your body and your mind and give it what it needs. If you are feeling tired, take a break. If you are feeling uninspired, take a break. If it's just not the day and you need the weekend to yourself, give it to yourself. Stepping away from the work and coming back to it, you feel refreshed, you feel inspired, you feel more gratitude for the work, and you feel more excited to dive back in. Okay? Burnout is real, and I wish it upon nobody. But I honestly do think that we all need to find what that balance looks like for ourselves. We sometimes have to go through the burnout to understand, you know what? I'm working too much. I got to dial back. I need to have some balance in my life. And then you see what the beauty of the balance brings to your life, and then you recognize it and you appreciate it more. So if you're feeling like you need the break, take the break. When you're running at your own pace and you're in your own race, you're not worried about what other people are doing. You're not worried about falling behind because this is your race. You control the pace. Literally imagine firing off at that starting line. It's just you. And at the end of the race, there is a finish line with a gold medal, and it's for you. If that's the case, we don't need to compare ourselves that all those other people are working. No. We need to listen to our body because we need to make sure we finish the race. And we want to finish with a smile on our face. And we won't have a smile on our face if we're miserable the entire time. So for me, I try to take one full day a week, and that's usually Saturdays, where I shut it down. I'm not doing anything work related. I stay busy though. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy stays busy. And it's usually activities outside of work, which really does give me that reset that I need. So I am more inspired. I'm more fired up when I come back to work. And that could be going for a run. That could be hitting the beach. That could be grabbing coffee with a friend. Could be just catching a vibe or two. You know what I mean? Bump a little Kendrick Lamar with the windows down, driving through LA. Yeah, boy. You know what I'm saying? I need that reset. It helps me so much. It's crucial for me. And also, too, at the same time, it's funny that I'm actually recording this podcast and I'm talking about running because I've took off yesterday, took off today, and I'm taking off tomorrow of running because my body needs it. I'm listening to my body. I usually run 4 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on, 1 day off, and I keep a cycle going. But I started to feel it and I go, pump the brakes, bearded man. It's time to listen to your body. And I don't feel like I've lost any progress. I see people out there, instead of running, I go for a walk around the block in the morning. I throw on a podcast. I get the warm-up in. You know what I'm saying? See what I did there? I get my warm-up in, and I see other people running. And yeah, I'm jealous. I wish I could be doing the same. But I know that me taking this break, I'm coming back even more fired up So you better believe when I get back out on those streets on Wednesday, I'm going to be cruising through. All this to say, rest when needed. Do it. Listen to your body. Listen to your mind. You will come back to the work so much better. Ladies and gentlemen, to recap, it is absolutely crucial we run at our own pace in this game of life, baby. We don't need to fall for the comparison trap of where other people are in their lives. We stay dialed in on running our marathon of us versus us. So tips for staying focused. Number one, the warm-up. Make sure before you start off the day with work or any other of the madness, get your mind and body right. Work out, read a book, meditate, journal. Spend the first 60 minutes on you. Number two, study the route. Regardless of your interests, goals, industry, study the people who have ran a similar route before you. The answers are out there for free. Learn from the experts and pull from their experience when you need it. Number three, 1 foot in front of the other. Similar to the 1% growth per day, focus on the small daily tasks you have in front of you today. It may not seem like a lot, but it will stack up with time. Look up, see where you're headed once in a while, but keep your head down and go. And fourth and final piece, rest when needed. Listen to your mind and body and reset when you need it the most. You'll come back sharp, rested, inspired, and excited. That's it, baby. Challenge for the listeners, if you guys and gals made it this far, thank you for listening. I love y'all so much. Which area of your life do you need to put more effort into? Is it the warm-up? Is it starting the route? Is it 1 foot in front of the other? Or is it rest when needed? Or is it all four of them? Ask yourself that question and be honest. Which section do you need to put more effort into? Start today, start tomorrow, get after it. We have one question from the BMC. That's the Bearded Man community for those who don't know. If you're just finding out about the BMC, welcome, welcome, welcome. You do not need a beard to be part of the crew. You are welcome to be here. Or, well, you're more than welcome to be here. I butchered that up. But we do have one question coming from a fellow bearded man by the name of Jordan Tarver. Shout out to you, Jordan. He said, how do you go at your own pace while making sure that pace is still pushing the needle? Jordan, that's a great question. I think it's similar to what we touched on today. You are running a race against yourself. As long as you're moving forward, you're going to get to that finish line. And there's a gold medal there with your name on it. As long as you move forward day by day, that's all that matters. Some days you're going to feel like you make huge leaps. Some days you're going to feel like, I do too much. But you're eventually going to get to that place. So for example, Mondays when I do these podcasts, I dropped a podcast today. I record one tonight. On top of all the other things I got done with Liquid IV, I feel unstoppable. But then a day like tomorrow, I don't have anything of my personal podcast project to work on. So it might not feel like the biggest win on the day, but I know today was a big day. It'll carry me through tomorrow. And then Wednesday, I'm recording a podcast. That'll feel like a big win. So as long as you're moving forward, one foot in front of the other, you're moving the needle. And even in those times, Jordan, when you're sitting there and you're resting and you're not inspired and you haven't done any work today, you're moving the needle forward because you're giving yourself that reset that you need. So in reality, you're always moving the needle forward because you're always growing a little bit. You're always learning something new about yourself and you're always making progress. I hope that was helpful, Jordan. That's a great question. Great bearded man. We'll get him on the podcast soon enough. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 57. I said 55. Bearded man, what are you doing, my guy? It's your first time recording a podcast. What you doing? 57 is in the books. Run at your own pace. If you guys and gals enjoy this podcast, please, please, please screenshot this episode right now. Post it to your IG story. Tag me at Bob-A, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Maybe even throw up a little running emoji on there. And tell me what you enjoyed about the podcast. Just one sentence or even one word to describe what you enjoyed about this podcast. Screenshot this episode. Post it to your IG story. Share it out with the world. Tell them to wake up because they sleeping on the best podcaster in the world. That's right, baby. It's Bob-A. They sleeping on me, but it's okay. I got a lot more room to grow. Still just getting warmed up. Thank you guys and gals for tuning in It's always so appreciated. A lot more great content for 2021. Let's crush it. Let's keep getting after it. Let's stay dialed in. Let's do a lot of great things this year. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys and gals soon enough. B.O.B. signing off. See ya.